Steph Weaves Tales presents Paxwood, The Trial of the Demon Slayer, a paranormal fantasy web serial written and narrated by Stephanie Gildart. Episode 11, No Strings on Me. The exterior of the Hands of Seers headquarters in Boston suited the North End, a red brick building that blended in with its surrounding neighbors. I'd asked Chris once if Paul Revere was a chosen one, and that was why the building was so close to Old North Church. She assured me that not every revolutionary figure in history had a prophesied destiny or an involvement with magic. Revere did plenty with the mundane resources at his disposal. I sat on the front steps as I awaited the decision about my fate. I could have taken a seat in the bland lobby, another part of the neutral facade to keep the chronically curious at bay. At least out here, I could watch cars and pedestrians pass, listen to summer tourists chatter about which cannoli were the best in Boston, and try not to think about the discussion that excluded me, despite being entirely about me. Leaning on one arm felt unbalanced. I never thought I'd miss the pressure of sitting with both forearms on my knees. Another thing to get used to. I was still breathing. My heart was still beating. Whatever they were saying on the other side of those doors, they couldn't take my life from me. I'd find a way forward. Chris emerged and sat on the steps next to me, holding a black folder in her lap. I knew immediately from her slumped shoulders, out of her usual good posture, that the ruling went against me. "They're still in there," she said. "If you want to hit back, I'll go in swinging right by your side. Wouldn't change anything, so I'll save that energy for the fights that matter." I sighed. "So, that's it then?" Chris passed me the folder. "This is your severance package. The organization wishes to recognize your service and your sacrifice." I opened it and started flipping through the pages, glossing over the platitudes and searching for the facts. When I saw the monetary amount that they intended to give me, my jaw dropped. It was enough for me to buy a little house close to my family, invest and spend wisely, and never work another day in my life. They want me out of play, I guessed as I continued to look through the pages. Not only not a mentor for the Hands, but retired, out of the way, no interference with any Hands business. "You won't find anything like that in the terms and conditions, but yes," Chris said. "Whatever you do with these funds is your choice. And they won't take a penny from you, regardless of what you choose to do. They have instructed me to advise you to live quietly. Varoriacs had followers and allies who may still seek vengeance against you, if you make your survival a matter of public knowledge. The Hands won't punish me, but they won't help me either. They wouldn't say so officially, or bar anyone from coming to your support if you were in danger. But you're right." Delightful. I closed the folder, holding on to it. If there really were no strings attached to these funds, I could use them. "I have one request. I'd like to spend some time in the library today, doing a little reading and research. If you could convince them to give me continued access to the library network, that'd be even better." Chris hummed. "If I bring you into the library today, no one should think twice. Direct access after today is going to be trickier and very dependent on the librarian at a given location. If you tell me what you're looking for, I'll gladly find you answers, now and in the future." "This is something I'd like to research for myself," I said. As much as I was working on forgiving Chris, I still didn't want to tell her about my experience or my thoughts on how I wanted to use these funds. She worked within the system that would have idolized me if I had died, and now ostracized me because I'd lived. Fortunately, she didn't push. She hesitated there on the stairs next to me, though. "There's something else, isn't there?" "They gave me my next assignment," she said. I wasn't expecting it this quickly. I don't think it was the plan. "Do you remember when we talked about the bridge books? The angel-blessed tomes that serve as a bridge between life and death. Their bearers can release ghosts to their final rest and banish demons to their demonic realm." I nodded. "There used to be more, but we're down to what, 7? 6 now. The mentor of the youngest bridge is gone, and the remaining 5 bridges are already each covering a continent. She's in high school, and now she's the only one with her role for North America. Since she's experienced a substantial loss and carries a heavy burden, my superiors believe my skills would be suited to the task. She shouldn't be alone, I said, echoing my conversation with the shadowy figure without thinking. I tightened my grip on my folder, heart racing as I felt a pull in my chest to bring this teenager, whose name I didn't even know, into my vision. Chris lacked the context. That's why I'll be there for her. I'm catching a train in the morning. For now, well, let's get you to the library for whatever research is on your mind. They do have a copy of your prophecy, original and 3 translations, plus several language dictionaries. Right. Good. Not my priority, but while I had the opportunity, going to the source text would be enlightening all the same. Chris stood then, leading the way into the lobby. She walked briskly, angled to avoid the front desk entirely as she headed for the main stairwell leading up to the research floor, and I kept pace. A man in a business suit, in his 50s, with salt and pepper hair and a short, full beard, was descending at the same time. He spotted me and stepped in front of Chris's path. "Why is she still here, Ellis?" he asked gruffly. "You said you could handle this yourself." "That I did." Her words were clipped. "I've passed your verdict, and she has accepted her severance package. We're taking care of a few items of business that are not yours." With arms crossed, standing a step above Chris, the man towered imposingly. "Anything that happens in this building is the business of the Crown." It clicked. I'd never met him, but at the very least, I knew him from his pictures. This had to be Odell Burrows, Crown Guardian, part of the ruling Council of 7 that oversaw the Hands of the Seers. One democratically elected leader from each of the 6 branches sat on the crown, plus the diadem, a gifted seer who advised the others and acted as a deciding vote in any split decisions. Since mentors dealt most directly with chosen ones like myself, I would have expected the crown mentor. But Guardian made sense for matters of organizational security. Chris had brought my fight literally all the way to the top. I stepped up next to her so that I could look the man in the eye. As I did, something else dawned on me. "You're shorter than I would have expected, Mr. Burrows." The advantage of high ground made him deceptively tall. On an even floor, I'd have at least 6 inches on him. His nostrils flared as he exhaled in a sigh that was almost a growl. "Have you no respect?" "Oh, I have plenty of respect. But best as I can tell, you have no respect for me, and no respect for the life I was willing to sacrifice by fighting alone against a demon prince, while you, or your lackeys, kept Chris or anyone else from helping me. I had to fight to keep from clenching my hand into a fist. No respect for the skills I could bring as a mentor to other chosen ones if you'd look past the letter of my prophecy and accept the reality of my survival. Not even enough respect to allow me to be part of the meeting that decided my fate. You want me out of the picture because I'm inconvenient." Blocking the stairs as we were, with the acoustics enhanced by our position between 2 floors, we were drawing attention. Chris placed a hand on my shoulder. "I'm showing Rowen the prophecy that determined her fate, as it's only fair," Chris said, her voice level. "Once we're finished, we'll be on our way. I'm sure you have much more important matters to deal with at the moment, Mr. Burrows. If you will excuse us." She was giving him an opening to save face, although he didn't deserve it. With all eyes on him, his expression iced over into the coldest neutral. Of course. He didn't spare me a single glance as he continued on his way. No excuses, no justifications. Not that a man like that would have even offered such things. "I'd hoped he would be in his office or otherwise out of the way," Chris said to me once he was out of earshot. "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize." I shook my head.
Honestly, I needed that. Since he's in charge of security, he was the one who secured you that night, wasn't he? Chris just barely nodded. After I'm done with my research, I'm happy to stick around a bit more and see if he gives me the opportunity to give him a black eye, I said. I mean, I definitely get forcibly removed from the property for assaulting the Crown Guardian. But you said this severance package is no strings attached. No one can take it back, not even over broken noses. Right? She laughed at that. As much as that might be cathartic, I think I'd be prouder to see you leave here with a plan to show those who doubted your value exactly what they are missing by pushing you away. I considered telling Chris what I was planning, but before I brought anyone else in on this, I needed to be more certain about the shadowy figure who'd appeared before me. This research would help me do just that.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Paxwood Book 2, The Trial of the Demon Slayer, is written and narrated by Stephanie Gildart. That's me. Theme music composed by Human Nature. Visit paxwoodtales.com to read the story as it unfolds. Want to read over my shoulder while I write what's next? Catch me live on Twitch for laid-back virtual co-working and crafting. If you like the story and you want more, like, review, comment, subscribe, and if you're feeling particularly entangled, buy me a skein of yarn on Coffee. Carrie's paranormal tip of the day. Paul Revere was completely mundane, but ask me sometime about the witch core of the Revolutionary War. Someone had to make sure Continental soldiers didn't end up hexed or possessed on top of everything else, after all.